All right, welcome everybody to another edition of Trust the Mics as we get ready for the Sixers tonight taking on the Chicago Bulls, tomorrow night against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We are back. Mike Gill, MKB. Welcome aboard. Another edition of Trust the Mics here on all the Trust the Mics platforms, BFA Sports. Holy mackerel, 5-1 MKB, and so much to discuss. Getting a little bit of good news today. We're going to get into that. Jared McCain looks like he could be back. How you feeling?
Feeling good, Mike. How about you?
5-1 against the 5-1 Bulls. Both these teams were thought to be kind of pretenderish, I guess, coming into the season. Not a lot of high expectations. We'll get our first crack at who is the best 5-1 team in the East. But hey, back-to-backs, early season test is going to be all interesting. Let's get into Jared McCain. Looks like he's going to be back tonight. He has been listed as probable to return. And I, for one, big McCain fan in terms of what he might bring to the team. I am really intrigued to see what kind of offense infusion. I tweeted this out yesterday. He averaged 15 points a game last year. Paul George averaged 16, which I guess would be a down year for him. That's 31 points a game set to reinfuse themselves. I would imagine George will talk more about him. They got 31 points a game from last year ready to come back. So I'm really interested to see first Jared McCain tonight. I would imagine some sort of minute restriction, probably not his full role, but getting him back, a big shot of life, because this guy, he's a baller.
Yeah, 100%, Mike. And I think you nailed it. The fact that the Sixers have been 5-1 and they've looked so potent on offense, specifically without the services of two guys that are we're not talking about like role players, guys that are going to play bit parts. We're talking about two guys that are going to play, legitimate roles for this team this season in McCain and Paul George. That, like you said, that's 30-plus points a game coming back to this offense that has already been, one of the best and most potent in the entire NBA so far this season. So that's a great development for this team. And, just like everybody expected 2 weeks into the season, it would be the Bulls and the Sixers in a game to determine the best team in the Eastern Conference at this point in the season, right?
So, yeah, right. So where does McCain kind of fit into you in this guard rotation? I mean, obviously Maxey, Edgecombe has been great. You've got the six-man right now with Quentin Grimes. Where does Jared McCain – is he the fourth scorer? Is he just a guy who comes in and gives a little energy minutes? Like, what is he?
Yeah, I think that's a question that a lot of people are, wondering about at this point with McCain. And I think it's kind of going to be a fluid situation, Mike. I don't know that Nick Nurse specifically has – specifically has like a designed role in mind for McCain at this point. I'm sure to start off, coming back, he's going to play, limited minutes, like you said, let himself work back into basketball shape after he missed, the bulk of the rookie year last year with the knee. He missed the first couple of weeks this season with the thumb. So it's going to be a process where they just kind of want to ramp him up and get him back into game flow. When he is fully back into the game flow, I see him as a guy that is going to come in off the bench, probably be the sixth man and the primary scorer off the bench, potentially like a split ball handler off ball role. What Nick Nurse has been doing so far, obviously kind of staggering Maxey and Edgecombe a little bit, like playing them together, then letting one sit, letting one kind of run the unit, switching it up. And I think McCain can fit right into that rotation as a guy that either could play as your primary like playmaker and ball handler with that second unit, or he could come in if you have Maxey running the unit, you could have McCain come in and play off ball at the two. You could have him play, the one with Edgecombe off ball. I think he just adds some added flexibility, and I think he'll fit really nicely into kind of the rotation that Nick Nurse has been developing so far this season with the backcourt that he has.
Yeah, like none of these four guys are really like a one first. They're all kind of like off guards, kind of masquerading as points, so they can kind of interchange with each other. That's the one thing there. Of the four, who's the best shooter?
I think right now you'd probably have to say Maxey, Mike, just the way that he's come into this season, the extended range, the willingness to just take and make the shots. But I would, if we're talking just a shooting contest in the gym, maybe McCain. I mean, it's tough to tell, but that's also a great thing to have for the Sixers team when you have four primary guards. I mean, Edgecombe has been a pleasant surprise with his ability to not only to take, but to make some of these catch and shoot threes that have been coming to him early in the season. That was obviously a little bit of a question about his game coming out of Baylor and coming into the league. So I think Maxey, just because he's right now the most productive and obviously clearly like the most confident in the shot. But, all four of these guys, including Grimes, can space the floor. And that's, something that the Sixers haven't really had a lot of in recent years.
These 3-point percentages early on are wild. Maxey 46, Edgecombe 42, Oubre 41, Grimes 45, Embiid 38. I mean, they are hitting the three at a high clip, and you throw McCain in there, I wouldn't be shocked if at the end of the day he's a guy who could shoot 40% from three. He shot like 38% from three last year.
38 last year on almost 6 attempts a game.
Yeah, and I would imagine – you're going to get looks. I mean, he's going to get – somebody's got to be open like all the time. If this is where I feel like when Embiid is working right in this offense, as they kind of get him more and more like ingrained in this offense, you can't just keep giving him open looks, like wide open looks from the foul line. He's going to make that every single time when he's like fluidly into the offense. So you imagine he's going to end up getting doubled more. That extra pass – someone's going to be open, and it's going to either be Grimes, McCain, Maxey, or Edgecombe. And the way those four guys, or Paul George, we'll talk more about him, but the way those guys are shooting, and Oubre, somebody's getting open looks if that's the way things start to pan out here. So I think Jared McCain can be a big boost to this offense because there's a lot of times where, in the half court is where they've struggled a little bit, especially when Embiid's not out there. Right. When Embiid's out there, he obviously does his thing, and he's still not. Did you hear Van Gundy the other night during the broadcast? He insinuated that Embiid is at 50%. Did you hear that?
No, I missed that.
He said, man, because he made a shot, he got fouled, and it was like an off-balance shot. He got fouled, and he went to the line. He's like, man, this is unbelievable. This is a guy playing at 50%. And I'm like, did somebody give you that number? Like, if he's only at 50% right now, that's a scary proposition.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds probably like a little bit of an exaggeration just because I can't imagine the Sixers clearing him to be out there.
I agree with that.
At 50%. It's clear. I mean, it doesn't look like he's at 100%. Will he ever be back to 100%? I don't know, but I think the Sixers are clearly comfortable enough with him being out there in the limited role that he's been having so far. I don't think that would be the case if he was at 50. But it's clear that he's not, his regular self, and he's still been able to be relatively productive out there when he is out there.
So are you anticipating more to his offense, or is this kind of his offense?
I'm anticipating it to come along a little bit, Mike. I think he'll, progressively feel better, kind of get more into the flow as the season goes on. But I do think we talked about this a little bit last week. I just think what we're going to see from him offensively is going to be different. I just feel like the vast majority is going to be, the mid-range, the elbow, the foul line shots, hanging around at the three-point line. There's going to be much less of an emphasis, I think, up on post play, running the offense through him. It's almost the first time in his career where so far this season, I would say he's the second option. I mean, anyone watching the Sixers, I would think you would watch this team and say, all right, Tyrese Maxey is the top offensive option on this team. Joel Embiid is, the secondary option, and it's worked so far, I think, which is the most surprising thing.
Yeah, and I know that everybody is like, especially the last play of that game where you only need a bucket, could they have Embiid down on the post, try to get himself fouled, something to that extent? Yeah, that's frustrating, but I would imagine that this is how they wanted to handle him last year. Like, just kind of be healthy until we need you to kind of muck and grind, if you will, and then we'll get you into those situations. Like, okay, it's Tuesday night in February against the Friday night in February or November against the Celtics. We'll live to fight another day. Maybe. Yeah. I hope that that's the case, because in that situation, I'd like to see him down on the block, just catch, get himself fouled, get to the line, hit a pair of free throws, and win that game.
Not only last season, Mike, I'll do you one better. I think this is what they would have liked to have been doing with Joel for the past several seasons. They just never had the horses to do it. They didn't have the guys that could carry the offense. The goal has always been to get him to April healthy, but in order to do that in decent standing, they've always had to play him more, I think, than they would have wanted to. And again, I mean, we're only talking 6 games, but this team, again, without Paul George and McCain yet, has the firepower, has the depth, and has the horses to keep the Sixers in the playoff picture in the East. And if they can continue, you're really going to want Joel in the playoffs, Mike. And that's obvious, but playoff basketball, it slows down. You play way more in the half court on offense. And I think that's where, at this point in his career, Joel will be the most valuable. When we're talking a half court offense, he demands the double team. He can kick it out, create mismatches, things like that. So far, so good when it comes to the plan of, getting through this season with him healthy and a decent record.
So, what is your take when you hear people that say they're better without Joel? He's slowing them down. You saw the game against Brooklyn. I mean, obviously Brooklyn stinks,
Yeah.
but they blew the doors off that team, and it's like this fluid up and back. What is the response to that fan base?
I don't think that they're better without Joel in any world, Mike. I understand the sentiment, but you got to look at they played a lot of not great teams so far in their 6 games. Out of the 6 teams they've played, maybe one makes the playoffs in Orlando. Like, it's been some bottom feeders, so the competition hasn't been great. And the NBA is a long season. Like, it's 82 games. This is the former MVP 2 years ago. You're going to need him defensively, especially. It's kind of easy to watch this team on offense and say, like, hey, they're putting up 120 points. Maxi's lighting it up. Oubre's lighting it up. Edgecombe's getting his. They're going to need him defensively. Bone has been great with the blocks and everything, but he's not, a full-time center. You need that rim protection, the anchor down there. And granted, Joel has not looked great defensively so far this year, but I'm still holding out hope that that's going to come along as the season goes on, and he'll be able to provide probably not the same level of defensive rim protection that we've seen from him, but still, an adequate level that this team will absolutely need moving forward as the season goes on.
That's where I think if he can't be the guy defensively that we kind of, remember, that's a problem. Like, if this is who he is on defense, you can make that argument that you can't have him out there in, like, late game, big time defensive moments, I guess. He's got to be a better rebounder, especially if they're going to be this small. There's times where you've got Edgecombe, Maxey, Grimes. Those guys are small, and they're not rebounding very well. We talked about it in the first episode where I was worried about their long rebounding. They got those small guards. You throw McCain out there, too, because I can imagine there's going to be times where he's got Grimes, McCain, Edgecombe, and Maxey all playing together with, say, a guy like Watford or Jabari Walker or Bona.
Bona, yeah.
Exactly. So he's got to be a more he just has no intensity to rebound the basketball. He just constantly standing around, looking around. And I don't know if maybe he just doesn't want to get tangled up again. He's never been a great rebounder. But that's something that they have to consider. If he's not blocking shots, he's not altering shots, he's not rim protecting at the level that he was, you might have to think about that.
Especially when you got a guy like Bona, who we've seen change games with his defensive ability already this season, Mike, with the intensity, the tenacity, the blocks, just the feel for the game. So, I mean, you watch Bona play with that smaller lineup, and you see them able to get up and down the floor. And I think that's where some of the sentiment comes that, like, hey, Joel can't do this when he's out there. It's a little more plotting. They have to slow down the offense. They kind of takes the gas off some of these faster guys. So, I mean, I get the logic, but it's just tough to, say that this team moving forward to really reach somewhere where they want to go will be completely better without Joel. I think Joel needs to be better, especially on defense, like you said, Mike, but there'll be a time, I think, where this team will need him as this season goes on to really make some noise in the East.
Yeah, I want to see defensively. Now, he's going to play tonight. We are live on Tuesday, November 4th. For those of you listening on the podcast version, which you can get on all podcasting platforms, or if you're watching the replay of this on YouTube or the X platform, we are live on Tuesday. They play the Cavs tonight. So I would imagine he's also not going to play tomorrow in the back-to-back. So you'll probably get him tonight, and then they play the Raptors on Saturday. So it'll be a Tuesday, Saturday, I would imagine, for Joel, right?
Yeah, I think that's how it's shaking out, Mike.
So would you rather him tonight against the Bulls, tomorrow against Cleveland, give him 2 games off? Or like the way they're kind of doing this, it seems like they didn't – would you rather have seen him play – I guess for whatever reason they didn't want him to play Sunday, which I thought – were you surprised by that?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
I'm trying to think, like, what's the messaging there? They said, like, this was pre-planned, but you knew you had a back-to-back coming up, so now there's another game he's going to be off. So, I don't know, are we concerned about that at all or not really?
Not really, Mike. I was saying that earlier when we were talking about his over-under for games played, and there's just going to be games, I think, that they're just going to give him off that aren't even back-to-backs. Like, especially early in the season, it's still a build-up process. Obviously, ideally, you'd like him to be able to play in every game that's not a back-to-back. But as long as the messaging from the team, and he's able to come back out and play the next game, they said it's no injury, just part of the management. It's not ideal, but I think, it's going to be part of his process this season, especially early on.
Yeah, I know that, you look at the I said 55, like somewhere in the 55 game range would be a good day, a good season for me. That means he got through. He didn't play most of the back-to-backs, and then he was off here and there, whatever. Sunday was one of them. He will play tonight. He's not on the injury list for tonight's game. I would imagine he doesn't play tomorrow, probably plays Saturday. Then they play Boston for a third time on the 11th coming up there.
Yeah, so we'll see him some of the games. Won't see him others,
All right, let's get into McCain back, Paul George. When will we see Paul George? PG, podcast P. When's he back?
I think he's hot on the heels of McCain, Mike. I've been hearing that, probably later this week, maybe the games this coming weekend, the Raptors on Saturday, that Celtics game. Probably, obviously, he's not playing tonight. He won't be back for the game tomorrow against Cleveland. But, in short order, I think he's been doing full 5-on-5, full practice for the past, a couple of weeks now, ramping up. And I think he is, chomping at the bit to get out there and join the Sixers team. I think there's a part of Paul George that kind of wants to atone for last season. It wasn't lost on him how poorly the season went and how he was the big offseason splashy signing. And it, just really went sideways for him before the season even started with the injury. I think, as a prideful player that has a long track record in the league, he'll be eager to come out and show that, he's not washed as people say, that he still has some gas left in the tank and that he can, contribute to this young Sixers team that looks a whole lot different than the team that he was a part of last year that really was such a disappointment.
Yeah, I have big anticipation for George, actually. I'm actually like getting to the point where at first I was like, I still do think they don't have to have George, but I think a good version of George takes this team to another level.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Like, if he's the guy from last year, I don't know what that does for this team. They're probably still pretty good. But if he's Paul George, like the guy you're talking about, which is like, I know I signed here. It went awful. Bad taste in my mouth. Let me blend in with these young guys and show that I can still be. And he doesn't have to be the man. He can be the second guy, the third guy. But he's going to be getting a lot of opportunities in catch and shoot. And I don't want to see the Paul George dribbling all over the place, between the legs, dribbling. Catch, shoot, fire, score. Be Tobias Harris, but be a good version of Tobias Harris. Just catch, shoot, three, bang, 3-and-D it, man.
Yeah, that's all they need from him. And in a way, the development of this offense so far has been great for him because it does take a little bit of that pressure off the plate. Like last summer when he signed, the talk is that he's coming here to be that second option. You have Joel, him, and Tyrese then are the two options. Now you look at it and you have several offensive options already established. And like you said, you don't need him to come in and try to get 20, 25 every night. And actually doing so would probably prove detrimental to the way this team has been playing. Like he needs to come in.
And if he has one of those nights in him every once in a while, that's great.
Yeah. Let the shots come to him. He has the size of he'll get mismatches in the perimeter on the post that he'll be able to take advantage of. And otherwise, just play D. They'll absolutely need his length and size on the perimeter defensively. Hopefully, he can still move those puppies left to right a little bit because they need perimeter defense. I would definitely say is an area that they need some help, and he's could be a big help in that regard for sure.
Yeah, so I go VJ, Maxey, Embiid, George. I guess Oubre for now. He's playing well enough that you keep him out there. And his defense and his shooting right now, the way he's going, Oubre and George, the way he can defend, and if he gets his shot going, that's a tough offense to stop. That's a tough five. And then Grimes, McCain, the little triangle of centers with Bona, Drummond, and then Watford and I guess Jabari and Barlow, like that little crew behind George and Oubre. You've got yourself a nice little depth pieces here. You've got yourself some athleticism. It's the makings of a pretty nice roster that they put together. But the big thing is having Edgecombe take himself to another level. I mean, his shooting right now, his ability to take the ball to the basket, his willingness to take the ball to the basket. I mean, he has taken over as the favorite for Rookie of the Year all of a sudden.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And that took, I think, one game. I think after the season, he dropped 30 and Cooper Flagg had like 10 on 2 for 10 shooting. The odds immediately shifted very heavily in VJ's favor, and rightfully so. I mean, he's been the best rookie so far this season, far and away. I'm
Cooper
not
still got him on DraftKings. He's plus 110. VJ's plus 120. Then Knipple.
That was way lower before the start of the season.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. I think when the season started, Edgecombe was plus 1,200, and I think Cooper might have been minus 110 or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's still, I'm not writing Cooper flag off by any means. I think he could still be a really good player.
Dylan Harper got hurt, so he's out for a while.
Murray Boyles up in Toronto has been playing real good. I mean, there's been some good rookies, but no one has been able to have the impact of Edgecombe. And he's doing it on a 5-1 team. That's the impressive thing to me. Like, rookies come in and put up numbers all the time, but most of the time it's on a lottery team that's not at the top of their conference. So the fact that he's not only been able to be productive, but doing it within the ecosystem of a 5-1 team
and
in a role.
He's doing it on a team where, the main guy is now top 5 MVP. So he's not, and he's not getting overshadowed by Maxey for all intents and purposes. He's like neck and neck with Maxey. Maxey's in the MVP conversation, and Edgecombe's in the conversation with him on a nightly basis. That's what's pretty unbelievable. I mean, right now, by the way, for MVP, SGA is the favorite, Victor Wembanyama, Jokic, Luka, Giannis, and then Maxey's plus 7,000. So, I mean, there's a huge drop-off after the first, 5 guys, but he's 6th at plus 7,000.
Which is, I mean, impressive, Mike, because coming into this season, I think people didn't know what to expect if he plateaued. Like, Maxey taking his game up to the next level has been huge for this team.
I agree that I've been a little tough on Maxey in the past in that everybody, because everybody's like over with Embiid. It's like, get rid of Embiid. It's Maxey's team. And I would always say, look, every time Embiid's gone out and it's been Maxey's team, how's that gone? Not great. Exactly. But the other side would be that, well, the team has never been built around Maxey, so it's not really fair to judge him, which I agree with. Well, now you have a team that's a little bit more built around Maxey, and you're seeing him it's all coming together at the same time where he's taking that next step of maturity. I think he's a little stronger. In the years past, he'd get to the basket a little out of control, not be able to finish. Now he's still not getting calls, man.
Yeah.
The other night, my God, late in that game, it's like, what do I got to do?
I don't know what he has to do to get a whistle.
But he has taken another step. I certainly will give him that hat. And I like Maxey. I got to, I got to be fair. Just because I like him can't be like, oh, he's great. No, there's been times where people are like, yo, it's got to be Maxey's team. It's like, oh, when you turn it over to Maxey, this team doesn't do very good. Well, now they have built the team more around him, given it more guard-oriented, back and forth, up and down athleticism, and he's thriving in that role. But this is where Nurse comes in. How does he marry him and Embiid, as Embiid more of that secondary guy, but really the secondary guy throughout the game. But in the big moments, if the moment calls for it, Embiid still has to be the guy that gets to the line. If there's a drought, you need a bucket, he's got to be that guy still.
Yeah, and I think that, that's the role, and I think that's where he's going to be huge in the playoffs, Mike. But to your point, this Sixers roster, it's just much better suited for Maxey. Like you said, it's built – I don't know that it was specifically built around him, but it certainly complements his strengths much better in terms of a team that's, younger, quicker, better defensively, that can get up and down the floor. And in fairness to Tyrese, I mean, he's put in the work. He's improved noticeably defensively over the past couple years. He's gotten bigger. Like you said, he's a better finisher at the rim. And he's still, today, I believe, I just saw on Twitter before we hopped on here, is his 25th birthday. So, I mean, this kid is still 25 years old, probably just like entering the peak of his, playing time right now. So he's really putting it all together 5 years in. I think we'll see a stellar season all the way through from Maxey, and a guy that's really taken the reins. He was in the shadow of James Harden for a couple of years, the shadow of Joel, got accustomed to, the way things were going with the Sixers, bad taste in his mouth from last season. And this year he's just come out and put the team on his back and said, hey, I'm ready to take that next step, and I'm bringing the team with me.
Yeah. I agree. I want to get because the other take is, hey, they're better without Embiid. The other thing is Indiana, Oklahoma City, the styles that they play are more, hey, we don't need an Embiid level type of player. Now, they don't have an Embiid type of player, but we could get to the NBA Finals with a bunch of guards running up and down and then an athletic big Miles Turner last year. He got booed out of the building last night, by the way, in Indiana. But he was a huge part of that team, just being athletic, rebounding. He could shoot and spread a little bit, stretch. Siakam, an athletic guy up and down. Of course, Oklahoma City's just littered with athletes all over the place. But what do you say to that?
Yeah, and I think that was probably in the mind of the Sixers front office a little bit, Mike, like watching those NBA finals last year, seeing how these teams were constructed, seeing how it's so guard heavy and guard centric and the deep versatility of the backcourts of both of those teams. And, some of that blueprint, they say the NBA is a copycat league. Obviously, you see the success that those teams have. You look at what the Sixers have been constructed by in the past, and you're like, hey, what we've been doing isn't working, but this style seems to be working really well for these other teams. Maybe there's something to that. And I don't know if obviously that was the exact conversation that was had, but clearly like that style of play is what the Sixers were going for more this season. It leaves a little bit of a question, like you said, about exactly what Joel's role is going to be consistently throughout the year. But that's a good problem to have. I mean, he's so good of a player that no matter what, you're going to be able to find something for him to be productive in, like you said, especially in that half court in the playoffs. So
I just don't want him turning into some stretch five where he just is jacking threes up all night.
Yeah. I know, I agree. And I mean, some of that's going to happen, Mike. I think he's over 30, the wear and tear, the injuries. I mean, part of that by default, I think he is getting a little bit comfortable playing above the perimeter and taking some of those threes. But hopefully the main thing is when he needs to down the stretch of the season, he can still turn it on, get down to the post and get them some open looks and buckets.
All right, as we get ready for the Bulls tonight, let's look around. How about Ja Morant, man? That whole story down there looks like he's lost his joy for the game. Will you get it back? We'll see. Looks like he's trying to work his way out of Memphis. Looks like what's going on there. You got the Bulls tonight. This Bulls team kind of interesting. What has been so impressive about the Bulls in their early start?
The fact that they're winning, Mike. I don't think anyone really expected too much from this Bulls team, coming into the season. They obviously traded a couple of their key guys last year, Zach LaVine, DeRozan, are, both now in Sacramento. But Josh Giddey, who, was kind of an afterthought and cast out from that Oklahoma team, had some issues, has been playing, really well in Chicago and running the point for that team. And then they just have a bunch of other, like if you look up and down that roster, it's basically what you would call like role player guys, like Okoro, Kobe White, Giddey, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, like all these guys that aren't all-star level players, but they've been playing well. They've been playing well defensively, offensively. Billy Donovan, I think, has done a good job with that team. So I personally am still skeptical of them being a legit threat moving forward into the playoffs and throughout the season. I just don't think they have the horses to, contend with some of the better teams in the league, but defensively, they've been impressive. I think Giddey's been, all-star level so far.
Giddey's been what they thought he would be, at OKC.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes it's just that you need to change the scenery. It didn't quite work.
Well, he couldn't be that player there. He couldn't be that player there with SGA, really.
Yeah, I was going to say they had duplicate skill sets there, like too many other, cooks in the kitchen. But now he's in Chicago. It's clearly like he's running the offense, and you're seeing, like you said, exactly the flashes that people were talking about with him when he first came into the league.
The Cavs tomorrow night. Now, this is a team that won, 60 games last year, over 60 games. 1 seed, brought it all back. Mitchell, Mobley, Jared Allen. I think Allen ended up getting hurt, actually, so he probably won't be there. But Lonzo Ball is there now, not playing a whole heck of a lot, but a little bit. But this is a very similar team, and you wonder – if the Sixers, how they match up with the Cavs, because you would have to think that this Cavs team is going to be a top 4 seed, maybe a top 3 seed. So I'm very interested. Now, Embiid's probably not going to play in that game, but what can the Embiidless Sixers, how do they match up with that Cavs team on Wednesday night? I think that will be a very interesting story.
Yeah, that will be, Mike, and the Cavs are absolutely going to be right there in the conversation in the conference at the end of the year. They have been for the past couple of years. Like you said, it's largely the same roster that they've had constructed, so they have the continuity. But I think the Sixers on paper match up with this team really well, whether or not Jared Allen's in the game or not. They just have, Garland, Mitchell, Hunter, Mobley, that's like a young athletic guard group that can get up and down the floor. But I think the Sixers for one time, they have a group that can match them in speed, athleticism, defensively. I think on paper, they match up really well with this Cavs team. And I think they have more top end talent too. So there's a conversation to be made that maybe the Sixers team could actually overtake the Cavs in the Eastern Conference. So far,
one of their guys,
Go ahead.
Merrill, who's just crushing it right now. He's averaging like 17 a game, but he's shooting like 60% from three. But, not a big guy, not a great athlete in terms of he's not going to put the ball on the floor and blow past you. It'll be interesting that the Sixers guards, like Edgecombe, he's D'ing up like you're up 25. He's chewing your gum for you. I mean, so it would be interesting to see if they get Edgecombe out on the perimeter kind of match up there, because Merrill's been killing teams because they have just so many athletes around him. But I'm looking forward to that. It's unfortunate that it's the back-to-back like this.
Yeah, obviously you'd like to see, them at full strength with Joel out there. But at the same time, it's nice to see the Sixers team contend without Joel. Like that game the other night against Brooklyn, wire to wire, being able to pull out a win with Joel, I think that's great experience. So, it'll be a tough test for this team, but I think they have, like we said, even without Joel out there, for the first time, we can say that they should be able to stay in that game with the firepower that they have.
Yeah, Toronto on Saturday, and Toronto is kind of a team that has no identity, just kind of stuck in the middle. Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, they got R.J. Barrett, so they do have some guys that can hurt you. Quigley's still there. You mentioned Murray Boyles. He's having a good year, so that team's kind of stuck in the middle there. And then it's Boston on Tuesday when we're back with another edition of Trust the Mics. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. If you want the audio version, you can get that downloaded on all podcasting platforms. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on that so you can get it sent right to your phone. All right, man. We got Sixers basketball tonight and tomorrow. I actually put out my radical plan for the NBA because the NBA Cup on these Friday nights, I guess, is kind of confusing to me.
Let's hear it.
So this is what I'm saying. Follow along. It might be a little bit confusing, but I want to see what you think.
Should I take notes?
Sure, if you want. Everybody complains that the season's too long, but they're never going to cut it down. So here's what you do. After 70 games, that's the cutoff date. They're the playoff teams. So you play 70 games. The 10 teams that are in, they're the teams that go to the NBA Cup. After that, your games are only against teams that are in the 10, in the West and the East. So those 20 teams are in the NBA Cup, and they're playing not for a quote-unquote NBA Cup, but all their games affect the seeding. So you're not seeing the 1 seed playing against Charlotte because Charlotte's trying to lose. No more. The last 12 games of the year, that's the NBA Cup. After 70 games, the playoff teams are locked in. The non-playoff teams, they play in their own version of the NBA Cup, and they're all playing for draft positioning. And that gets you to 82. So it's a 70-game cutoff date and then 12 extra games so the owners can make their money. But those 12 games are high-level games. They're all affecting. So you could be 40-30 after 70 games, go on a 12-game win streak and finish 52-30 and move from the 7 seed up to the 3 seed.
So the final seeding for the playoffs isn't determined until after those final 12 games.
Correct.
Okay.
But your record stays the same. But your record doesn't get affected. It's not like you go back to 0-0 after 70 games. You're still playing games in the regular season, but you're only playing games against other playoff quality teams.
I don't hate it. But so how would that work for the lottery then for the 10 teams that aren't in the playoffs?
So those teams play against each other in another 12-game NBA Cup because you got to get your 82 games in. So whoever wins that, they get the 1 pick. The second-place team gets the 2nd pick. If you finish in – so you have first-place game, second-place game, third, all the way through.
Well, this is kind of a way to curtail tanking a bit too, you're saying.
Absolutely. Because all the teams, your last 12 games, you're playing against non-playoff teams, so somebody has to win. So somebody's going to have to win those games because they're playing each other.
So instead of bottoming it out for those 12 games, those 10 teams, it's the opposite. You want them playing to win because the better you do in those 10 games, that's how the lottery standings is.
Right.
I see where you're going.
After 70 games, hey, we had an injury. We might have had a bad season. But now we're playing in the NBA Cup draft edition, and the first-place team gets the 1st pick. The runner-up, they would get the 2nd pick. Then you play a 3rd-place game between 3 and 4. You play a 4th, bang, all the way through, and that sets the lottery up.
Let's get Adam Silver on the line here, Mike. Should we dial him up and get him on here?
Well, I know
like
we always say play 70 games. That's never going to happen. But this would cut off the games at 70 in terms of the playoff teams. It's like high school basketball. There's a cutoff date. After that cutoff date, they're the playoff teams. But you still get 12 more games that have meaning to them, and therefore you get to 82.
So even if you're one of the 20 teams at 70 games, you lose, you go 0-12 over the stretch, but you're still locked in to a playoff spot.
Well, yeah, because you would still be, like, you might be the 10 seed. Like, you might have entered as the 7 seed,
and then
but if you went 0-12, you went from 7 down to 10.
I got you. I don't hate it.
Yeah, because your record stays the same. You keep accumulating your record. So if you're 40-30 and you're the 6th seed, you could essentially fall into the play-in game over those 12 games.
So does this mean you're just over the NBA Cup as currently constructed?
I was never into it to begin with, so I'm not over it. It does nothing for me. I mean, we live in a society where winning anything but a championship just doesn't resonate. I mean, maybe for younger kids it's resonating. I don't feel it. Maybe I'm too old, man.
No, I'm with you. The stakes, there doesn't seem to be any different type of stakes or vibes for these games than compared to any other regular season game. I think the players feel that same way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you get to Vegas and if you win the whole thing, maybe for one night, I don't know, because I've never watched the finals of the NBA Cup, nor what did it do for those teams.
Who can you name the last 2 NBA Cup winners?
Did the Bucks win last year?
Yeah.
And the Lakers won the first year because of that whole ridiculous with the banner and everything.
Yeah.
I know the Pacers made the finals one of the years.
Wasn't it last year?
It could have.
No, I think that was the Lakers' year. I think that was 2 years
I
ago.
will say, I think what they should do with the NBA Cup, if they want to make it better in its current format, is don't make it East and West. If you're going to make it an NBA Cup, make it who's the best team in the league. It might be an East versus East.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're still finding an East versus West champion. Just say, this pod is Philly, L.A., Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland. That's your pod. And then whoever plays, it might end up being East versus East or West versus West. Get the true NBA champion. You know, maybe sometimes the West team isn't as, or usually it's the East teams that aren't as good. So find out who the best team is.
Yeah, I think you got yourself an idea.
All right, Adam Silver, I'm at 609. All right. That's Trust the Mics. What do you got?
I'm going to put you on the spot. We're 2 weeks in before we sign off here. Are the Sixers legit? 5-1, 2 weeks in, top seed in the Eastern Conference right now. No Paul George yet, no McCain yet. Is this a legit team, or are we seeing a little bit of fool's gold early in the season?
I came into the season, I think our first episode, I said top 4 seed, top 5 seed. I think they're top 5 seed, so that's legit. If you're a top 5 seed in today's NBA, you're like a champion. Like it used to be, if you weren't the 1 seed or the 2 seed, you weren't winning the championship.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit more, deeper of a pool of teams that can win. I think right now they're probably, I think they're a playoff team, top 5 seed. I think that ultimately Detroit's pretty good. I think the Knicks are pretty good. I think Cleveland's pretty good. Atlanta's going to be tough because of the injury to Trey. How long is he going to be out for? Bucks, not sure how I feel about the Bucks yet. It's kind of a different Bucks team.
They're weird so far this season. I don't know what to tell with the Bucks. 5-2. I mean, better than I thought.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like they're a weird team that get off. But I would say I'm going to stick with top 5 seed in the East right now.
I like it. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I honestly might give him.
You had him before. I think you had him lower than me. I think you had 7.
I did, Mike. I was a little pessimistic coming into the season. I thought it was going to be not quite the same that we saw last year. I thought there would be improvement, but the step that Maxi's taken, how good Edgecombe's been already as a rookie, the emergence of some of these other guys has changed. And also I watch a lot of other teams, obviously.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about this comment here? Cleveland's bad.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say bad, but I would say they're in that same spot.
Not what you thought?
Not what I thought. Not progressing from where they've been. I think that team plateaued. I honestly think they plateaued 2 years ago where they had that really great regular season, flamed out in the playoffs. Same story last year. They genuinely don't, the Sixers are tough to judge, but the Cavs are not a team that really scares me. And that's the thing that I'm kind of getting at. There's no other teams in the East really that you watch these teams and you're like, man, the Sixers, if they're full strength and full health, can't contend with these teams. The Knicks, the Cavs, like the Bucks, the Magic, Sixers are right there to me. So, I mean, health obviously remains a big part for this team.
Well, I'll tell you, by the way, this one here, PG will ruin y'all team.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like old school. Hey, if he's Paul George, it's been Paul George, Clippers, OKC, Indiana. I know that's a ways back. Even if he's Paul George from last year and he had 16 a game, they don't need him to be 25-point PG.
As long as he's not coming in with the mindset that he needs to get his. Like if he comes in with the mindset that he's going to fit in and not try to stand out, I think it'll be fine. And he doesn't necessarily strike me as a guy with the huge ego that's going to come in and be like, listen, I need to get back to the 25-point a game scorer that I used to be. I think if he can come in and fill a role that the team desperately needs from him, it'll be smooth.
Hey, PG, collect your check and do less. That's all we're asking. That's all we're asking. Don't exert yourself too much. Just collect your check and do what you do.
Should be music to his ears.
Right? I mean, isn't that like we always say? It's like a college coach who gets a buyout. Here's $52 million. You don't have to do anything. Just be like a secondary player. Don't get in the way. Let Maxey cook. Let VJ kind of burn. McCain, Grimes, let those guys do the heavy lifting. You, Joel, you guys are kind of there on the nights where they don't have it. And then you got these role guys. I mean, I'm a big Watford fan so far. I don't know that – he had that sequence the other night, though. He had the three. He's not a great three guy. He did shoot 39% 2 years in a row in Brooklyn, but he only shoots like one. He only shoots like one a night. But he hit the three. Then he had the blocked shot. Then he went down the other end of the court and had an assist down under the basket. I was like – this is who he is. He's the kind of – I talked about it last week. He's like the hockey assist guy. He had a rebound. He had an offensive board, had a kick out. They had the second pass, and Maxey missed the three. But a lot of times the guy who gets that offensive board panics, throws something up, gets the ball stripped from him. I think him with Paul George, I like to see that duo back. So, Tehran, PG will ruin your all team. I think I disagree. We'll
Appreciate
see, though. Maybe he's right.
You listening, though.
Yeah, man. And don't forget, you guys, as we continue to grow the show, this is episode 3. You'll be able to comment if you're watching on YouTube and on the X platform. We see a lot of people watching on the X platform. Go over to the YouTube channels at BFA Sports Media, and you can watch and comment over there. Hit the like button, hit the repost button. Don't forget the audio version on all podcasting platforms. MKB, I'll give you the last word today. Anything?
Nah, you put me on the spot. You stumped me. But no, hopefully the Sixers can keep it rolling, and we'll be back next Tuesday with another fresh episode.
All right, everybody. We'll talk to you next Tuesday right here on Trust the Mic. See ya.